Picture this. A Japanese slugger who averaged over 30 home runs per season is now available, and the Blue Jays are going all in to bring him to Toronto. We're talking about a player who rewrote the record books in Tokyo, and 6 other MLB franchises are prepared to do whatever it takes to sign him. The question isn't whether Toronto wants him, it's whether they can beat out the competition. What happens next could define the next 5 years of Blue Jays baseball. The whispers started circulating through front offices last week, and now it's confirmed. Toronto has made Munetaka Murakami their top international target this winter. Adam Lascaris from the Daily Hive broke the story, and suddenly everyone's paying attention to what the Blue Jays are planning. This isn't some low-risk flyer on an unproven talent. This is a calculated strike at one of the most dangerous hitters Japan has ever produced, and the timing couldn't be more critical for Toronto's championship ambitions. Let's get real about who Murakami actually is, because the numbers tell a story that should terrify American League pitching. Standing 6'2" and weighing 213, this left-handed masher has obliterated Japanese pitching to the tune of 246 career home runs across 892 professional games. That's the kind of production that translates to any league in the world. But the stat that should make every Blue Jays fan's pulse race? 56 home runs in a single season back in 2022, setting the all-time Japanese record. We're not talking about a good hitter having a career year. We're talking about elite generational power from a 25-year-old entering his prime. The mechanics of this pursuit matter because timing is everything in baseball. Murakami's 45-day signing window kicks off this Saturday, which means teams have until December 22nd to get a deal done. That compressed timeline creates pressure, and pressure forces decisions. Toronto knows they can't afford to wait around while other franchises make their pitches. Every day that passes is another opportunity for the Yankees to flash their pinstripes or for the Mets to throw obscene money at the problem. The Blue Jays need to be aggressive, and early reports suggest they're prepared to do exactly that. Now here's where it gets interesting. Toronto isn't operating in a vacuum. Mark Feinsand from MLB.com confirmed that at least 6 other teams are circling, and they're not small market underdogs. The Yankees and Mets bring New York's financial firepower and media spotlight. Seattle offers proximity to Japan and a proven track record with Japanese players. Philadelphia just went deep into October and can sell immediate contention. San Francisco has the West Coast appeal and a history of player development. Boston remains Boston with all the history and resources that entails. This isn't a 2-horse race, this is an auction, and the Blue Jays need to figure out what makes them stand out. So what's Toronto's pitch? Start with the obvious, they're coming off a legitimate championship run that changed how players view this franchise. For years, the narrative was that Toronto couldn't get over the hump, that they were perpetually stuck in that frustrating middle tier. That narrative is dead. Players around the league watched what this team accomplished, and suddenly Toronto looks like a destination rather than a stopover. Free agents want to win, and the Blue Jays just proved they know how. Beyond the winning, Toronto can offer something that matters enormously to a player making the jump from Japan, a clear role with guaranteed playing time. Murakami has primarily manned third base throughout his career in Tokyo, though he's flexible enough to handle first base or even corner outfield when needed. That versatility becomes crucial when you consider the uncertainty around Bo Bichette's long-term future with the organization. If Bichette walks, suddenly Toronto has multiple infield spots to fill. Even if he stays, the Blue Jays can get creative with positioning to ensure Murakami's bat is in the lineup every single day. And make no mistake, it's the bat that matters most here. Think about what adding Murakami does to Toronto's offensive identity. This is a team that's always had pitching and defense, but sometimes struggled to generate consistent run production against elite arms. Drop a legitimate 50-plus home run threat into the middle of that lineup, and everything changes. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. suddenly isn't the only hitter opponents need to pitch around. George Springer gets more hittable fastballs. The entire offensive ecosystem improves because pitchers can't focus all their attention on 1 or 2 dangerous hitters anymore. So that cascading effect is how good lineups become great ones. The historical precedent here matters too, because not every Japanese position player has succeeded in making the transition to Major League Baseball. The league is littered with cautionary tales of hyped imports who couldn't adjust to American pitching. But when Japanese hitters with legitimate power do translate their skills, they often exceed expectations. Shohei Ohtani became the most valuable player in baseball. Hideki Matsui anchored multiple championship rosters. Ichiro Suzuki is a first-ballot Hall of Famer. The difference makers bring more than just talent. They bring discipline, work ethic, and a relentless approach that elevates everyone around them.
Everything in Murakami's profile suggests he fits that elite category. There's also a psychological element to this pursuit that shouldn't be ignored. Landing Murakami sends a message to the rest of baseball that Toronto is serious about building something special. It tells current players that management is committed to winning. It tells future free agents that the Blue Jays will spend to compete. And it tells division rivals that Toronto isn't going away anytime soon. Sometimes the impact of a signing goes beyond just the player's production. Sometimes it's about establishing organizational identity and momentum. The financial component will obviously play a major role in how this unfolds. Japanese stars commanding posting fees and significant contracts isn't new, but the market has evolved considerably in recent years. Teams have become more comfortable offering substantial guaranteed money to international players with proven track records. Murakami won't come cheap, but for a franchise with championship aspirations, the cost becomes secondary to the potential return. If he produces anywhere close to his Japanese numbers, he'll be worth every dollar. And if he becomes the middle-of-the-order anchor this lineup has needed, he'll be worth significantly more. The next few weeks will tell us everything we need to know about Toronto's willingness to compete at the highest levels of the market. This isn't about filling a roster spot or adding organizational depth. This is about acquiring a cornerstone talent who could define the franchise for the next decade. The Blue Jays have positioned themselves as serious contenders. Now they need to prove they can close the deal against the biggest spenders in baseball. Murakami represents the kind of opportunity that doesn't come around often. A young, proven superstar entering his prime with the potential to transform an entire lineup. Toronto needs to act accordingly.